Over the last few years, there's been a rise in games being released in an episodic format. Some have done so with great success, while others have not done quite as well. Unfortunately, Resident Evil Revelations 2 falls in with the latter. That's not to say it's a bad game, but the episodic releases have left it feeling disjointed. You can at this point buy the whole game at once, and not be left waiting for the next episode. However, the game is still presented in a way that breaks up the story segments and leaves you jumping between two different sets of characters rather unsuccessfully. The gameplay is actually quite smooth overall, but there were a few points that the characters on screen incorrectly responded to my input, resulting in frustrating deaths. Capcom has been bringing co-op to the Resident Evil series for a while now, and that hasn't changed for Revelations 2. You'll either be playing as Claire Redfield and Moira Burton, or as Barry Burton and Natalia, a little girl with some strange abilities. Having a friend play through with you is actually the best way to play the game. Surprisingly though, there isn't any online multiplayer. If you're set on playing with a friend, you'll have to do it over split screen. To add insult to injury, the split screen isn't handled very smartly, and wastes large sections of the screen, making it the visually inferior way to play the game. If you play solo though, your AI companions are less than competent, and you'll be forced to switch between your two characters based on different situations, and to solve different puzzles. When I started the game out, I was hoping that they would patch in online multiplayer, but after finishing the story, I don't see myself coming back to it, even if they do. Each episode of the story starts as a Claire and Moira segment, and ends in a Barry and Natalia segment, which leaves you switching stories back and forth repeatedly throughout the campaign. It all comes together in the end, but I would have preferred to play all of the Claire and Moira segments and then gone back and played the concurrent Barry and Natalia segments. Instead, you must play them in order to unlock the next episode's offerings. The story itself has potential, but the broken presentation of it ruins a lot of the tension and makes it more difficult to keep track of what's going on in which story. Moira and Natalia, who are the campaign's support characters, each end up getting their own special episode, which adds a little bit more content to what's offered and fills in some blank spots in the story. Moira's plays fairly straightforward, and has you basically killing waves of enemies, while Natalia's is slow, frustrating, and reinforces that she is a support character and should have stayed as that. Beyond the story is something called Raid Mode. In a nutshell, you'll pick a character to play as, and level them up as you kill waves of zombies and infected that randomly spawn. You'll find extra weapons to supplement the base weapons you start out with, and as you level up your chosen character, you will be able to equip skills to make you more lethal in your zombie slaying. All in all, Raid Mode is additional content that feels like it was thrown in to keep players busy as they were waiting for the next episodes to release. It's fun enough to play, but with no online multiplayer, has little lasting value. There's also a microtransaction option for Raid Mode where you can buy additional characters, unlock weapons without finding them, and purchase additional lives. I'm personally not a fan of microtransactions, and while these ones are avoidable for the most part, the existence of them feels like a bad omen of things to expect in future Resident Evil games. Finally, as has become tradition in the series, you can unlock different modifiers to change up the game, such as costumes, unlimited ammo, or visual filters. Revelations 2 also lets you unlock a countdown mode and an invisible mode, in which you'll either have a set amount of time you're expected to speed through the chapter, or all of the enemies in the chapter will be invisible. Both honestly aren't worth your time, unless you're adamant about unlocking those trophies or achievements. Past that though, there are also unlocks for figurines and concept art. They're not anything special, and seem to be bent on making a completionist play through this game multiple times to get everything. Altogether, the story of Revelations 2 has potential, and successfully pays homage to past Resident Evil games. There's a fair amount of content to keep you busy, especially if you're a completionist, but in the long run, the game falls short of being great. That being said, Resident Evil Revelations 2 is an okay game. The gameplay is good, and it will keep Resident Evil fans occupied. If you're not a huge fan of the series though, you won't feel too bad about skipping this one. For more reviews, check out the Phoenix Overdrive YouTube channel, and if you liked this video, please subscribe.